Welcome back to Ag Today in Central Ohio. I'm Pete Emmons, your host. This morning, my very special guest is John Barker, President and CEO of the Ohio Restaurant Association. And we're exploring the Ohio Restaurant Association and the Ag Connections. And right now, we're going to talk about the services and scope being provided by the Ohio Restaurant Association. Our program partners today include the Ohio Farm Bureau in Delaware, Madison, and Union counties, Holbrook and Manter CPAs of Central Ohio, Liberty National Bank of Marysville, Utzi's Farm Market of Plain City, and Culver's Restaurant of Marysville. Your support of all of our show partners makes a huge positive difference. Well, John, the Ohio Restaurant Association is coming up on 100 years special celebration. And boy, there's not many associations that can claim that benchmark these days.
There's not many organizations that can say they've
That's
been around
true.
for 100
That's
years.
absolutely
But,
true.
And I was not there when we founded it, Pete.
Okay,
Yeah,
that came a
so-
couple years after.
Couple years.
Okay,
yeah,
we'll
yeah,
just clarify that right
yeah.
off the top with that
Right.
being said. Well, give us a little history lesson. How did the association come into being?
Yeah, I think that, like a lot of organizations back everywhere from the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, it was an opportunity for people to come together who had similar interests and figure out, and some of it was just literally being able to network with each other, right? Being around other people who are involved in your business. So I'm sure there's a radio association. I know there's a beautiful farm bureau. I mean, it's like that. In fact, there is an association for associations to join.
Assertively speaking, I'm sure that's absolutely correct. Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Who would have thought with that? But again, almost 100 years, it's continued to grow. It's obviously on target for meeting those needs and for really driving the food service business. It continues to grow and expand. Now, you've been involved now for a little over 2 years. And one of the interesting things that I learned in prepping for this show really is you put a lot of focus on changing the approach, if you will, or the culture of the association from a traditional type mode to much more of a consulting type mode of operation. Elaborate on that.
So one of the things, when I looked at this association, I said it could probably benefit from thinking of itself differently. And the associations have typically been kind of quiet and soft in the background and just sort of reacting to the marketplace, reacting to questions from restaurateurs. And the model that I think would be much more beneficial is for us to be on the forefront of all the trends, all the needs that restaurateurs and people in the food service industry might have. And so we just kind of flipped the model upside down and said, we're going to truly be like a consultant. And I had worked with, fortunately in my career, some of the biggest and best consulting companies in the world, and an opportunity to observe how does the model work and what could we do to be more similar so that we can provide more solutions to members. At the end of the day, that's why they join an association. They have issues and problems. If they didn't have them, they wouldn't call us. They wouldn't knock on the door or arrive at our website or our social media. So that's it. We decided to think about the organization very differently.
Taking the time to really listen to what their concerns, what their issues are, it sounds to me, and then formulating a game plan, if you will, to really address those front and center, to provide those most value-added benefits and services that are going to drive results for all of your customers and your consumers and all those organizations.
Any business that has a customer, in our case, our customer is a member, but any customer wants to be heard, so there's different ways to do that. We went on a statewide market-by-market tour when I came on board, and today we have a program called Ohio Works Here, and our goal is to go to every member restaurant by 2020, every single member restaurant. Now, by the way, there are over 22,000 food establishments in the state of Ohio that serve food that call themselves a restaurant of some type. Our membership represents about a third of that, so our goal is to get to all of those, and then on the way, also visit as many prospects as we can possibly meet, tell them about what we're doing, and see if we can help.
Perfect. And a little bit more on the scope of the restaurant industry. Notice it's like number 3 in overall revenue as far as an industry, about $24 billion per year, is that correct?
It's humongous. If you look at the entire industry across the United States, it's $800 billion and growing because people love to eat out. It's not that people don't cook at home, of course people do, but the ability to go to a great restaurant is easier today than ever. And now with online ordering and delivery, even with great companies like, and our producer here today is a Domino's person, right? You can have it delivered within 30 minutes. Almost anything you can possibly imagine can be delivered to your home now. It's beautiful.
And not even your home. You can be on the beach.
You can be anywhere.
Yeah. And it's happening, or in a park, and it's happening with that
Exactly.
too. So there it is.
Yeah, it's a huge industry, and it's one of the few that's still growing at the retail level, because most retail is shrinking today. If you think of all the big malls and big retailers around the world, that model is completely changing because of Amazon. The food industry is very different, right? Every single day, no matter where you live, if you blink, you're going to see another restaurant going up.
Right? Absolutely. It's amazing. And where it ends up, don't you wish you could see all the way through that crystal ball and see? But we'll take it and we'll go for the ride with it. Outstanding. Talk a little bit more about, as a result of the changes in your transition to that consulting mode of operation, you've had several things happen and several things that are very noticeable in your company. I noticed that your board, for example, has greatly expanded, and board committees too. Speak to us about some of those results and outcomes.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing we did, in addition to going and talking to our members, is we do in-depth surveys. So again, it's a practice that I had in previous lives, being in corporate. In-depth surveys, focus groups with our members, and we said one of the things we need is more involvement. So we went from 16 board members to 28. And if you look at our board membership, it reflects people who are running very small restaurants in places like Mansfield, Ohio, to a big national chain like White Castle or Wendy's or Cameron Mitchell. So we have the whole spectrum, right? We also have on our board a number of vendors. So these are everything from people that deliver the food, like a great company like Cisco that has big operations here in the state of Ohio. And so we've done that. We've created 12 different committees, and these committees bring different expertise to our organization, and then we play that back to our members. And so, for example, in the area of technology, we created an ORA Tech Committee a little over a year ago to examine and figure out a way to bring content, white papers, and research to our members for free on every topic that they probably couldn't afford to do themselves. And this is things like online, what kind of website do you have, what's your social media like, should you deliver or not, should you have third-party delivery, what's your point of sale operation like. It's just all these topics that if you had to go out and hire somebody to help you do it, it could cost you thousands and thousands of dollars.
You've also expanded the amount of benefits in things like worker compensation type programs. I see that you also have a legal type service provision connection with that as well. As you mentioned, saving thousands and thousands of dollars for your members. I think I noticed that you really vested in promoting the industry with youth, and through a high school program I saw you have a foundation.
We do. It's called the Education Foundation, and it's really dedicated to young people who are thinking about food services as a place to be in their life. And so we have 57 schools that we run a program around the state. It's called Pro Start, and it gives juniors and seniors the opportunity to come in and learn culinary and restaurant management and decide, is this a place that I might want to spend time in my career? And they seem to love it. It's just a great opportunity, for a young person.
2-year high school program?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Very good. Well, that's going on, and we're going to talk a little bit later about an upcoming event that relates to that as well. You've also really, and you've alluded to this a little bit already, you've really expanded your digital market footprint in terms of an organization. Every major platform I see you on, you've got it covered frontward and backwards, and I'm sure that has a lot to do with your communications and media person that be involved in that, and your staff.
We have a great person who is with us here today, but our entire team is dedicated to this. We know how important it is to reach out, and just like you here at a radio business, right? You have to reach people in every possible way you can. So do we. Sometimes people in the restaurants are not ever sitting in front of a computer. In fact, how they're getting all their information is on a little phone in their hand. And so if we decide we're going to send something in the mail to them or try to send something that they would have to read on a PC, we're not really delivering something to them in the format that they need it.
Absolutely. A little bit on membership here. You have membership opportunities. We've already alluded to all those array of membership benefits available and so much more. It's a complete toolkit for restaurants and food service industry. What are the requirements for membership? What are the costs and levels of membership?
So first of all, Our job is to make sure that if somebody decides to join the Ohio Restaurant Association, the benefits that they get back easily pay for their membership. So we want to make it, the membership cost should not ever be an obstacle, Pete, for somebody to join an association. So it's based on sales, their sales, that's what the membership cost is based on. And so we have brand new restaurants that enter into the business, and we have a $99 entrance cost for them. It's called Grow Ohio, because we want to help them in that very first year, which is very critical for young restaurants in that first year. Then after that, their membership moves to based on what their sales might be, and it's usually in the hundreds. If it's a large business like a big chain, it could be into the thousands, right? But it scales based on the size of the restaurant, and we think that makes it affordable for everybody.
Well, kudos to you for that model and really reaching out and really at that level. So and making that opportunity available, like you say, for the startups and the established restaurants and helping them grow as they go, for sure. We do have to step aside, John, right now for our last commercial break. You're listening to Ag Today in Central Ohio. I'm Pete Emmons, your host. My very special guest today is John Barker, President and CEO of the Ohio Restaurant Association. When we come back after our commercial break, we'll put a wrap on our conversation with John, and we'll also share with you some very special Ag announcements.